I want to commend and thank the sponsor of this legislation for introducing it. This legislation is so important to make sure that millions of tenants and homeowners are protected during the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic. It would be a catastrophe if we did not put in these simple safeguards to make sure that tenants, as well as small landlords, are not evicted, foreclosed, or have tax sale liens sold as we try to work our way through the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. I also want to correct the record. Many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle suggested what we were doing here today was unconstitutional, that it was a violation of the contracts clause of the US Constitution. It is not. The Supreme Court has been very clear. State governments have large authority to abridge and amend and to abrogate contracts when there is a specific need, and that need is large, and there are specific ends to that need. And this is a clear case of that. In actuality, the state legislature is often too meek and mild and should push up against the contracts clause much more, because we have broad authority to amend and to abrogate contracts when there is a real need and a real crisis. This is a real need and a real crisis. During the Great Depression, there were states that went out and stopped the foreclosure of homes. Well, this is that exact same time. Not since that time have we seen that millions of people in our state and around our country could be foreclosed or evicted because of the great financial trauma that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused. So I commend the bill's sponsor for this most necessary piece of legislation to make sure that millions of New Yorkers are not thrown out of their homes or apartments. And I urge all of my colleagues to vote in favor of this legislation. And I urge them as we go into the new year that we be bolder and we do so much more in the coming session to make sure that we protect tenants, homeowners, small businesses, and the necessary essential government services that our state provides in this most trying year. We can do so much more. We should do so much more. Fortune favors the bold. Our state, our legislature needs to be bold. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.